All right, public hearing for the Tangipahoa Parish Council meeting will come to order. We have 9 items for public hearing. The first one is an ordinance revoking Chapter 16, Article 2, firearms, then revising and amending Chapter 17, planning and development. Is there anyone here to speak on that item? The next one is TP Ordinance 21-02, an ordinance placing 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs on Alice Cottrell Road in District 1 in Tangipahoa Parish in accordance with Chapter 20, Streets, Roads, Sidewalks, and Drainage. Anyone here to speak on that? The next one is TP Ordinance 2103, an ordinance to amend TP Ordinance 20-60, Section 23-31, permit prerequisite to obtaining permanent utility service. Anyone to speak on that? The next item is TP Ordinance 2104, an ordinance placing 35-mile-an-hour speed limit signs on General Ott Road from Pumpkin Center Road to Yellow Water Bridge in District 6 and 10 in Tangipahoa Parish in accordance with Chapter 20, Streets, Roads, Sidewalks, and Drainage. No one? TP Ordinance number 2105, an ordinance directing the renewal of the levy and collection of a 1% sales and use tax upon all the sale at retail, the use, the lease or rental, the consumption, and the storage for use or consumption of tangible personal property, and upon the sale of services in the parish of Tangipahoa, state of Louisiana, for a period of 4 years, beginning on December 31st, 2021, and further providing for other matters in connection therewith. Anyone to speak on that? Okay. TP Ordinance 2106, an ordinance to delete Chapter 10 from the Tangipahoa Parish Code of Ordinance and include flood prevention and protection in Chapter 17, Planning and Development. Anyone? TP Ordinance 2107, an ordinance to limit fill in major subdivision developments and special use residential commercial developments. TP Ordinance 2108, an ordinance to grant a variance to the Tangipahoa Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 17, 5.2a, spacing of manufactured homes for assessment number 679305 at 27120 Reed Road in Laranja, Louisiana in District 2. And the last one is TP Ordinance 2109, an ordinance setting maintenance standards for railroad right-of-ways and approaches. Okay, if there's no one here to speak on those, we will adjourn the public hearing and move into our regular meeting of the Parish Council. Right. Call to order. Okay. First, we're going to have an invocation by Mr. Lewis Joseph. Mr. Joseph.
Who's doing the pledge?
Mr. Buddy is good.
Okay. If I'm out of order, I'm asking y'all to forgive me, but I think we'd be remiss as a council and as a group if we don't do a moment of silence in honor of our late beloved Fire Chief, Chief Bruce Cottrell. Would you please join me, please? Thank you very much. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings we've received. We thank you for our health. We thank you for our strength. We thank you for our peace of mind. We thank you for our families and our friends. We ask that you bless this meeting tonight. Give the leadership the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding to do all those things that are pleasing in your eyesight. Lord, we pray for our country. We ask that you give us healing. We ask that you give us unity for the United States of America. We ask that you bless all our first responders, Keep them safe, Lord, as they go out doing their daily chores, protecting us so that we may enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy today. With a special emphasis on our military personnel, those men and women who were on their duty posts while we were enjoying Christmas and New Year's. Bless them, Lord, as to keep us safe. I ask that you bless our president, bless our governor, bless our parish president, and all those people who are in positions of authority. And as we leave this place, but never your grace, we ask that you give us safe, you guide us safely back to our various abodes. These blessings and all blessings we ask in your darling Son, Jesus Christ's name. And all those within the sound of my voice responded by saying,
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph.
You're welcome.
Mr. Richardson?
Face the flag, the veterans and active military render the proper salute. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Forrest?
Here.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Here.
Mr. Joseph?
Present.
Mr. Bruno?
Here.
Mr. Ridgel?
Here.
Mr. Mayu?
Here.
Mr. Wells?
Here.
Mr. Vial?
Here.
Ms. Hyde?
Here.
Ms. Coates?
This time we'll have our parish president's report.
First item is approval of the 2021 Section 8 payment standards. We do this annually as part of the housing program, but we have to do this each year to acknowledge asking for your approval for those standards to be passed.
Madam Chairman, I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Wells, second by Mr. Forrest. Roll call, please.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yep.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Second item is the financial report you have on, handed out to you and email. As always, if you have any questions about the financial report, please ask us, our staff, or give any information you need. And it's not on the agenda, but I need to ask you guys to add an item for us to seek bids for a sewer project at the jail, to add a lift station and force main to handle some of the sewer issues we've had at the jail the last several years. It needs to go out for bid, so timing, we can get it all done, but if got overlooked, we need to get it to Christie quick enough to add it to the agenda, but there's a time sensitivity to it. So if y'all can add that approval and then vote on it, I appreciate it.
Okay. Do we have a motion to add that to our agenda?
Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, I move that we have.
Second.
Is that John? Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Wells, a second by Mr. Ingraffia, that we amend the agenda to add this item. Should we vote on this now, Robbie, or, okay. Okay, do we have a motion?
We have to roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call, please.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're seeking approval to go out for bids for the sewer project at the jail. It's to add a lift station and a force main.
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Mayu, second by Mr. Joseph. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yeah.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yep.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
If you don't mind, I have a couple of notes. One of them is the job openings. I think I skipped it in December, but the job openings that were advertised on Go Jobs, G-E-A-U-X Jobs, through the state website, advertised to Tangipahoa Parish by various companies and so forth. 1,616 jobs, 1,616 jobs are open with the average pay of $42,547 per year. So if you have constituents who are looking for careers, send them to Go Jobs on Market Street in Hammond, or right down the street here on Laurel not Laurel, Mulberry here in a meet. So jobs are available. And then obviously, the second point is just to remind everybody that Chief Bruce Cottrell did pass away. His wake is going on as we speak or shortly through this tonight and tomorrow morning for a little while, and then his funeral service will be tomorrow. Expect, if you're driving in a meet, expect slow down in traffic because there will be many, many fire trucks and departments from all over the state of Louisiana come to pay their respects to a man who deserves it. And we'll be doing a proclamation there for the chief. But just wanted to kind of say that out there so the public knows. There will be the shoulder and the right-hand lane of Highway 16 will be blocked from the interstate exit as far into the city as we need to line up the fire trucks and so forth that's coming. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
We always hear how many job openings there are. Is there any way we can find out how many of those are really filled? I mean,
How many of them get filled? We'll have to find out.
yeah, because
Good point. I know that we haven't gotten it this year yet, but during the first 4 years, every year we added in Tangipahoa Parish roughly, the total was about 4,000 jobs. So basically, it wasn't $1,000 jobs per year, but it was 500 one year, 1,500 another 1,000. So, but we averaged a little over 1,000 jobs a year that we added to the workforce.
okay.
But it should be coming out pretty soon because they do it annually.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I skipped the adoption of minutes. Everyone had the minutes emailed to them. I hope you had a chance to read over them. Were there any corrections or, no?
I move that way.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I so move.
Motion by Mr. Wells,
Second.
second by Mr. Mayu. Roll call, please.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yeah.
Mr. Richtel? Mr. Mayu? Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes. All right. Public input. Is there anyone wishing to address agenda items which were not brought up under public hearing? Okay. We'll move into our regular business. Our first item is adoption of TP Ordinance 21-01, an ordinance revoking Chapter 16, Article 2, firearms, then revisiting and amending Chapter 7, planning and development.
So move. Second.
Motion by Mr. Vial, second by Mr. Forrest. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bruno?
Yeah.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest? Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Adoption of TP Ordinance Number 21-02, an ordinance placing 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs on Alice Cottrell Road in District 1 in Tangipahoa Parish in accordance with Chapter 20 Streets, Roads, Sidewalks, and Drainage.
I'll make the motion. Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Forrest, second by Mr. Ingraffia. Roll call, please.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yeah.
Adoption of TP Ordinance 21-03, an ordinance to amend TP Ordinance 20-60, Section 23 through 31, permit prerequisite to obtaining permanent utility service.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bruno,
Second.
second by Mr. Wells. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yeah.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
All right. TP Ordinance 21-04, an ordinance placing 35-mile-an-hour speed limit signs on General Ott Road from Pumpkin Center Road to the Yellow Water Bridge in District 6 and 10 in Tangipahoa Parish in accordance with Chapter 20, Streets, Roads, Sidewalks, and Drainage.
So moved.
I second.
Motion by Mr. Mayu, second by Mr. Wells. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest? Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yeah.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Adoption of TP Ordinance 21-05, an ordinance directing the renewal of the levy and collection of a 1% tax, sales and use tax upon the sale at retail, the use, the lease or rental, the consumption, and the storage for use or consumption of tangible personal property, and upon the sale of services in the parish of Tangipahoa, state of Louisiana, for a period of 4 years beginning on December 31st, 2021, and further providing for other matters in connection therewith.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Ridgestill, second by Mr. Mayhew. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vial,
Yes.
Ms. Hyde,
Yes.
Mr. Forrest, Mr. Ingraffia,
Yes.
Mr. Joseph,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno, Mr. Ridgestill,
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew,
Yep.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Adoption of TP Ordinance Number 21-06, an ordinance to delete Chapter 10 from the Tangipahoa Parish Code of Ordinances and include flood prevention and protection in Chapter 17, Planning and Development.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. VL, second by Mr. Ridgestill. Roll call, please.
Mr. Forrest,
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia,
Yes.
Mr. Joseph,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yeah.
Mr. Ridgestill,
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Vial,
Yes.
Ms. Hyde,
Yes. Adoption of TP Ordinance 21-07, an ordinance to limit fill in major subdivision developments and special use residential commercial developments.
So moved. Second.
Who'd second? Okay. Got a motion by Mr. VL, second by Mr. Ingraffia. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ingraffia,
Yes.
Mr. Joseph,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yep.
Mr. Ridgestill,
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Vial,
Yes.
Ms. Hyde,
Yes.
Mr. Forrest,
Yes.
Adoption of TP Ordinance 21-08, an ordinance to grant a variance to Tangipahoa Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 17-5.2A4, spacing of manufactured homes for assessment number 679305 at 27120 Reed Road, Laranja, Louisiana, in District Number 2.
I so move. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Ingraffia, second by Mr. Forrest. Roll call.
Mr. Joseph,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Ridgestill,
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Vial,
Yes.
Ms. Hyde,
Yes.
Mr. Forrest,
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia,
Yes.
Okay. Adoption of TP Ordinance 21-09, an ordinance setting maintenance standards for railroad right-of-ways and approaches.
I had put this on the agenda, and I want to thank Mr. Trent Forrest for calling me. I heard that there was a railroad committee meeting called. I wasn't notified about it, and I hear that we got an answer from a little above Mr. Larry. So, and what I'm hearing is that the railroad committee wants to table it. That's fine with me, but it's going to be tabled to March 1st. It's going back on the agenda March 1st, and you can vote yes or no. Because that just shows you what I told y'all before. The only way you get these people's attention is when you put their feet to the fire. They would have never, ever cut that grass if it wasn't for that ordinance. So I'm just telling y'all, I have no problem pulling it, but I'm telling you now, Kristen, the first meeting in March is back on the agenda.
it's the 8th.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'll eat my words if they do anything. So I'll make a motion to table till the first meeting in March.
Carla, let's hear from Joy chaired that committee.
Yeah, I'd like to speak about it. At the committee meeting last Wednesday, I had State Representative Dr. Bill Wheat. We had a representative from the state, and also from Washington DC, we had Andrea Deerhole that I've been working with for 3 years. We had a real good meeting. At the end of the meeting, they did make a commitment to get these things done. And, there's another factor here that, we can adopt this, but it's just gonna put us into a legal limbo, spending a bunch of taxpayers' money, that no matter what, it's the state's responsibility, especially if it's a state road. If someone gets in an accident, they're not gonna sue the parish, they're gonna sue the railroad. But with that said, the meeting was a good meeting. They've committed to go forward and get the things done. I gave everybody a list of what they're gonna do and dates that they have. Now, some of these dates will be tentative according to conditions of weather for spraying and cutting. If they don't, then I do believe that we should move forward with it. But at this point, I do believe we should hold off on it. It was a good meeting, they did we did get their attention, and, I just can't see going ahead and adopting this.
I'm fine with that, but, you know, years ago, I don't think any of y'all were here, maybe Buddy was, we had the same problem with the railroad. And the only way we got their attention is when we brought them in from Chicago and they did what they have to do. They're not gonna do anything. You can talk till you blue in the face with these people. Do you realize how many miles of track that they have? So the squeaking wheel is gonna get the grease. And the only thing I disagree with you, Joy, litigation, I know it's expensive, but you know, you have one family get hit by a train, what is that worth?
Well, there's no
You know, it's
dollar.
just, it shouldn't even be a dollar and cents thing, it's a moral thing.
But if you look back at 3 years ago, nothing was getting done. You formed a committee, you put me as chairman, we've given 17 crossings, they've fixed 13 of them. Now, there was an oversight on the grass on that one, no excuse for that. But we do have to accept and acknowledge what they have got done. They haven't sat down and done nothing. They fixed 13 out of 17 crossings. So I do believe that they are working with us at this point. But if they don't, I agree with you, you bring it back and you pass it and go from there. But I don't want to get us in a legal limbo with the railroad that we're just going to go on and on and on spending a bunch of money on lawyers. That's wasting taxpayers' money.
Question. Joy, did not Wesley say that, I think he said it, that 15 feet on each side of a crossing, that's the state's responsibility?
Correct,
Is that right?
correct.
Okay.
That's correct. So really, the only place we have any responsibility is on a parish road. Now that, you know, that is a state road right there. And like I said, it does put it back, and we don't want one life hurt or, you know, lost with this. There's no dollar figure to put on it. But the responsibility, no matter what, lies on CNN Railroad, not the parish. It is our responsibility to look out for our constituents. We're doing. By fixing these railroad crossings and bringing stuff to their attention like you did about the grass cutting, they should have got it cut. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, they do have a commitment. They've given us a list of what they're gonna do. And I think this is a positive moving forward now.
You know, there's one other thing I'd like to say after the meeting. And I guess in all the years I've been here, I never could figure out people. After the meeting, you got people on, I call them the keyboard warriors, you know, the ones that, they never make a lot of sense, and usually when you address them, they kind of disappear. I could not believe the ignorance of people who was against us trying to get the railroad crossings cut. Now, what in the world, and who would not want to see railroad crossings cut? And it, you know, like, you going against the federal government? Well, if you lived across that railroad track, I'm sure you would want that crossing cut.
Yep.
But, you know, sometimes I think people probably need to think before they type, because it's so comical sometimes. They make themselves look like such a fool when you're going to say that the parish council should be doing other things and should not be worrying about cutting railroad crossings.
Paper or something?
No, it was on, after the meeting. It wasn't 15 minutes after the meeting was over.
Yeah, I see that.
You got these, like I said, keyboard warriors. You know, they never go to a meeting, they never do nothing for their community, but they got the answers to every question, you know? So for you out there, just remember, the parish council did get the attention of the railroad, so.
Yeah.
I guess I need to do Facebook, huh?
Huh?
I guess I need to do Facebook.
Well, I don't
You're
do
probably
it, but you
better
know,
off not.
Those are Facebook warriors.
Yeah.
They're very brave.
keyboard warriors. Benitez is responsible for them.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bruno to table, second by Mr. Forrest. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yeah.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Okay, the next one is an introduction of TP Ordinance 2110, an ordinance placing three-way stop signs at the intersection of West Sam Arnold Loop, South Sam Arnold Loop, and Arnold Road in District 9 in Tangipahoa Parish in accordance with Chapter 20, Streets, Roads, Sidewalks, and Drainage. This is actually in my district. Years ago, it was a curve that's pretty much turned into a turn. The area's grown up, and this is actually being introduced as from a recommendation by our engineer, Ben Talsan. So if someone will do that for me.
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Buddy made the motion. Mr.
I'll
Wells, your
second
second? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Ridgel, a second by Mr. Wells. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Okay, adoption of TP Resolution R2103. This is a resolution of support from the Tangipahoa Parish Council for the Keep Louisiana Beautiful Litter Grant Program. Ginger, would you like to say anything on that, or?
Just that we're gonna be applying for the Healthy Community Grant, for cameras and to try to help get I'm sorry. The cameras and the, court up going, and then the trash cans, where they're gonna be going in the town, in the city of Amite this year, if we get them.
Okay, thank you.
So moved.
I'll second.
We can definitely use the cameras.
Yes. We have a motion by
they're good
Mr.
ones, too.
Mayhew and a second by Mr. Wells. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest? Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Adoption of TP Resolution R21-04, resolution of the Tangipahoa Parish Council authorizing and directing the parish president to execute a contract with Strategic Demographics LLC to provide reapportionment and redistricting service to the Tangipahoa Parish government. Mr. Garrett, would you like to speak?
Is this the same company that?
Yes.
I'm Danny Garrett. Dr. Blair, who is the lead on strategic, is out of state right now, so he asked that I come. Dr. Blair was the lead 10 years ago. There's a few of y'all that remember that very fun process. I actually was the lead on the school board, and we kind of worked together on it took both of us. But luckily, we were able to get y'all's districts done and got y'all pre-cleared. There is one change this year. The price is a little lower because right now there is no pre-clearance requirement, so it should make the process go faster. We did put an element in the contract that if Congress, between now and when y'all get it done, does amend the Voting Rights Act to require pre-clearance again, we'll handle that for you just like we did last time. And I look forward to working with you.
Okay.
Thank you very
so
much.
We have a motion to accept the resolution.
So moved. Second.
A motion by Mr. Ridgel, second by Mr. Ingraffia. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Okay. Next is appointment of the council committees for 2021. You should have had those in your packet. Someone would make a motion to, we don't have to vote on it? Okay. All right, beer, wine, and liquor permits, we have 4. We'll take each one individually, and, or do we want to vote on them as a whole? What,
How do they want to do
they're
it?
in different districts.
There's one in Trent.
I
First
have
or
one.
general?
One's in my district, I know for sure.
Yeah, one's in
Trent
my
has
district.
one.
I have no objections on that.
Y'all gonna do them all in one motion?
Yeah, I don't need it.
Then y'all just, okay. Who's gonna
Make
make
a-
the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve all of them.
Second.
Who seconded? Mr.
Yeah.
Beal? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Forrest? Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yeah.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes. Okay, legal matters. Mr. Cashier, you have anything? Okay. Councilman's privileges.
Okay. Robbie, we're changing out some big culverts on Cooper Road. And the sign says it'll be finished by Wednesday. The gentleman right on the other side of the culverts passed away, and the funeral for him is Thursday. So the family asked if we could possibly, I know with the weather and all, but if we could possibly have it open for Thursday. Yeah, the sign says Wednesday. If you can. I told them we'll do the best we can with the weather, you know. I told them it just depends on the rain and all of that, but they understood. But they said it would be a lot more convenient because they got to go that way to the cemetery. Okay. The second one is, I've had some requests, and I talked to Brad about this, and I'd like to allow him to do some research on it. Some of the older residents out in the Laranja area, Laranja was broken up into some little communities. There was the Joynertown community and the Cooper Creek community and the Sweetwater community. A lot of the older people are feeling that the new people are moving in and they really don't know the history of those little communities. And the boundaries are pretty laid out already. Everybody knows where the boundaries are. And they wanted to see what would be the process for the parish council to recognize those little communities so that they could put up a sign saying you're entering Joynertown community. And I mean, that would be the same in anybody else. I'm sure up in Kentwood they've got some too. But the older folks are pretty adamant about trying to do something with that. And I told them I'd have to get some legal advice. And if it would be okay, I'd like Brad to, if you could do some research and maybe let us know something by the next meeting.
Speak on that if you want, because I had to get one in Baptist. Any state highway, you got to go through the state and get a permit. You can get Ben to do that.
Well, these are all going to be, almost all of these are going to be on Parish Road.
Parish Road, you can really just go through Ben and he got a GPS to spots and then get Sid to make them and put them.
Well, I think more what they want, and Joey,
Recognize the
they
name of the
want
community.
some kind of recognition that the little community exists.
Like a little billboard of some
Yeah,
type.
well, maybe like a little sign that you're entering the area, but it would be forever noticed that the parish council recognizes that little community.
Ben could do that.
There's a Robert Green sign, highway sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, and BD code too.
There's a Baileyville sign. I mean, there's different
Yeah.
communities have.
Yeah, but those are the actual community. These are like little communities inside of that, like Laranja. These are little communities that are inside of the Laranja area.
So it'd still be considered Laurent.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben could take care of that.
Yeah.
They got a Cooper Creek.
Well, somebody put it and they stole it, you know.
That's what
And-
happened to the other one.
What they're thinking is people don't recognize the sign because it's not an official sign.
BD code's punch it.
So, and you know, I told them we have to find out. You know, I understand what they're trying to do. They don't want to just put the sign up and it not mean anything. But most of them have went through and done a little history of the area. So that way, once the community is recognized, then they'll be able to go on the internet and get a little history of the community that they're moving into. Because they're saying like now, the new people moving in, they don't really know.
They don't know it exists.
They don't know anything how it existed or whatever, you know? So if you could do that, Brad, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Miller, when are we gonna get the inmates back picking up with the sheriff's department? Because it is dire need. Have they started back up? Okay. They're kind of far and few between, I believe.
I saw, that's my knowledge, we are, and nothing tells us not, because we just moved the trucks and trailers to them.
The last,
Well, I'll get with,
the last I heard from Joe, it was like the 20-something, 20th or,
If there's areas of concern, we just need to know, because they're running up, if there's nobody calling about complaints of places where they're just
I
running a
got you.
pattern. So if.
okay, I'll get my list.
Move them and send
Yeah, I'll get my list to Ginger and get it called in then. Thank you.
I saw them out and about last week.
They can just about start anywhere.
And that's the case, they just go, and somebody calls out sick there, they will send them there.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I don't know what it's gonna take to break this cycle. But, you know, everybody travels certain roads in the parish, and so you kind of eyeball certain areas as you drive, and you go, you get it cleaned up, and you go, where is this coming from? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
2
it's
days later, it's
absolutely ridiculous what's going on. Sofas, chairs, it's nuts.
And I can tell you that, and Ginger will tell you whenever we go to the.
I know they do a
Keep-
great job of trying to.
But Keep Louisiana Beautiful, this is not, we are not unique. It's all over the state, no matter where you go. Every community's complaining the same thing. We clean it up in a few, you know, it could be a few hours, but within a few weeks, it looks like we didn't do anything. So it is definitely an education issue. It's definitely a pride issue. The citizens, and we're working on the administrative court that when we start catching these folks, there's a lot more teeth to it that we can do to them. But the big thing is we just got to get people to start taking pride and holding on to it. Letting the garbage collection happen. Or bring it to the landfill free.
That was the good thing about the keyboard warriors. One of them came on there that there was a sofa by Hammond High School. It had been there a year, and the lady came back and said, well, if you saw that sofa there for a year, why didn't you stop and pick it up? So that would be a good thing for them to do with all that free time, pick up a little trash.
Well, there's no doubt that we would really appreciate our citizens not throwing it out and then helping us whenever it happens to be out there.
Last Sunday, after church, I went and picked up on Waterline and Crappenzana, 1 block each direction. And I picked up 4 bags that I had to drag them. I couldn't lift them. And I came back this Sunday, and about half of us back there again. But it's
You can
just
furnish
a
a house on
daunting-
just about any road.
It's bad everywhere. It's not just one area.
And like I said, Keep Louisiana Beautiful is, when you go to that conference or on their calls, it's statewide and probably nationwide. It's just sad that people don't understand. And in our case, all they have to do, they can bring it to the landfill. If they're Tangipahoa Parish residents, they can go there free.
But it's
They just have to bring
mostly
it there.
Popeyes,
It's mostly
Taco
fast
Bell,
food.
Burger King.
Right.
Stuff like that. But hopefully we get the court set up this year and we start finding some people. Maybe their eyes will open up a little bit.
Look, I
Thank
know
you.
we put a lot of effort into this. It's been going
It's a
on
lot.
for years since I've been here, since you guys have been here. I hate to think what it would look like if we hadn't put this effort
Good
into
point.
it. I mean, it is certain roads, and I just go, what in the world is going on?
Whenever I go places, I feel pretty proud of the idea how much effort we put in it, and then at the same time I turn and say, but why? Why do we have to? If folks did what they needed to, we wouldn't have to spend money on that.
Right.
Well, Ginger, that's good. I'm glad she loves her job.
Ginger. Okay.
Ginger just told me she's back in the classroom starting today, so that's, we're starting to teach the children again. Hopefully they'll influence their parents and the folks, the adults they're riding with.
Thank you, Ginger. We appreciate your help.
Mr. Forrest?
I've been told that congratulations are in order. I wanted to recognize Wilma resident Tanya Crow for winning the Miss Louisiana pageant. So congratulations to her.
Beautiful girl.
I have one, Brady.
Yes, sir.
As the council may remember, last year we honored Devontae Smith. We did a proclamation. We were going to do it here, but the parents requested that we do it at the not the arena. And they met.
At the community center?
Community center, and which is what we did. It was jam-packed, but we can't do that this year because of the COVID virus. And we did a proclamation last year, but I think this year, I saved some of his clips from the Advocate and the Daily Star, and I'm gonna do a collage of pictures, and I'm gonna present those to either Devontae or to his parents and have them to come here. He may not be able to make it because I'm sure he's negotiating with his agents and waiting for the NFL draft, but he has made the state proud, made the parish extremely proud, and made the town of Bay Mead, his coaches, his family members, extremely, very, very proud. A humble kid, got his degree, and somebody we ought to be proud of. Another youngster, Trent, from Kentwood, is Shaheem Carter. Shaheem was on the New York Jets practice squad, but now I'm told that Shaheem has been hired as a coach at the University of Alabama. So our boys are doing great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Good.
Oh, one thing too. You didn't put the library committee on here. Was that?
That's one of our boards. We don't have a,
Committees.
we
Yeah.
don't have a
You got it.
council committee for library, do we?
You got one council
He's
member.
a rep.
I represent the council on the library board.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you might want to add that.
good.
You
Is
wanna
that-
go,
is
you wanna
that-
go to the bathroom right
Is
quick?
that not
or
right,
we'll
Chris?
appoint you?
You're looking at me.
No, it's just usually not on that list.
Okay.
Yeah.
You represent the council on the board. This is our council committees. So that's-
Okay.
So you are it.
You are, you are the man.
Actually, I love being on the board, to be honest with you.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Do I hear a motion to
Bad
adjourn?
times when I was on there.
So move.